So we start off with kind of the conversation continuing where they stopped it yesterday. No more time has passed. They're not in a different place because Uncle Andrew says to Roxy and Shia, your parents are still downstairs. So I guess maybe the family came to visit him. Maybe Roxy and Shia went off into the house and Mum and Dad stayed downstairs having a cup of tea or something. Now there we looked at the word downstairs. It's spelled D-O-W-N-S-T-A-I-R-S, downstairs. It's our first word power word for today. So downstairs is an adverb and it means either towards or on a lower floor of a building, especially a house. So you might live upstairs and somebody else might live downstairs. Your bedroom's upstairs, your kitchen is downstairs. Here's an example. I'm going downstairs to get something to eat from the kitchen. I'm going downstairs to get something to eat from the kitchen.
All right, and of course, the opposite of downstairs would be upstairs, right? So you go upstairs to go to the second floor or downstairs to go to the first. Well, Roxy and Shia, when they hear this, they run downstairs to see their parents. They've missed them so much. For them, little time has changed, but they've still had many dangerous adventures. They're so happy to see their mom and dad. They cry a little. Oh, isn't that sweet? Here we have this phrase, a little. If you do something a little, or if you like something a little, you could also say it means a small amount, not very much. You could also say a bit, a little bit, a tiny bit, something like that. So, you know, I was a little busy yesterday, or I'm still hungry because I only ate a little for lunch, something like that. So we're telling you that there's something there, but it's a very small amount. So if you're crying a little, just a few tears and I'm okay. I'm just crying a little. I'm okay.
There. It's all good.
Thank you. So Roxy, very excited to see Mom and Dad, and she bursts out.
Mom, Dad, I'm so happy to see you. Yeah, that's so touching.
Absolutely.
It's very nice.
And Shia feels the same way, and he says, we missed you so much.
Aww.
And here we have miss. Miss is spelled M-I-S-S. It's a verb. We're not talking about miss like a young girl. We're talking about to miss someone as a verb. It's a word power word. Let's check it out. Well, often when we miss something, it means something happens and we weren't there for it. If you're sick, you might miss a day of school. But here, we're talking a little bit more about feelings, about emotions. If you miss something in this kind of way, that means you feel sad because it's not there anymore. It's not with you anymore. You might miss your friends if they move to another city. Or you might miss your parents when you have a bad day at school and you just want to get a hug from someone. It means something happened or someone's normally around you, but this time they're just not. And you feel sad and maybe a little bit lonely because you miss them. For example, I moved to Taipei for work last month. I miss my parents so much. I moved to Taipei for work last month. I miss my parents so much. I think I'll call them. So, of course, the two kids miss their parents so much, but the parents might be a little confused, right? Because for them, the kids weren't away for very long at all, like a minute or two.
That's pretty much it.
The kids are suddenly crying, I miss you so much.
And Mum says, what do you mean?
Huh?
Why did you miss us? That's what she means. Because Dad says, you only left the room 10 minutes ago.
That's right. Why are you crying?
You just went upstairs. You're back. It's now 10 minutes later and you missed us so much.
That's right. Why are you crying? It's only been a few minutes. And Roxy's surprised when Dad says that. Roxy says, only 10 minutes?
What?
As a question, we've only been away that long. And then Shia explains how they're feeling. He says, it feels like weeks. Well, because for them, their adventure did take weeks in time travel time.
Or more. They could have been
even more.
Years they could have been traveling.
And of course, they had all those dangerous and exciting adventures, which would make it feel like even more time has passed. But the parents still don't understand. So Mom says...
Well, Mom says, you kids are always playing funny games.
Silly, stop joking.
Exactly. Now we're going to take a look at the word funny, F-U-N-N-Y, funny, as it's our next word power word. So funny is an adjective and it just means something that makes you laugh. It makes you feel like you want to laugh at it, okay? We can also use funny to mean a little strange. So in the article, we're not sure whether the mom means something, it's very funny and I laughed, or funny, a bit strange. I think it means a little bit of both, okay? Here's an example sentence for funny. The show was so funny, I couldn't stop laughing. The show was so funny, I couldn't stop laughing. Ha! So Mum says they've been playing funny games, but Dad is going to kind of bring them back to the real world with some serious talk.
That's right. He's sort of confused about what the kids are talking about, so he brings on the full dad mode and he says, remember, you have to study for your test later. Enough of this funny stuff and talking about being away. You have a test to study for, and he wants them to not forget that and, go to bed without studying. And our final power word for today is test. Great. Now, I'm willing to bet that most of you know what a test is because you're students, and that's what students have to do. Test is spelled T-E-S-T. It's a noun, and basically it's a bunch of questions your teacher will write out, and then you'll have to answer the questions probably without looking in any of your other books. They want to know what you've learned, what knowledge is up there in your brain. We also have quizzes, which might be a short test, or an exam, E-X-A-M, which might be a long test, but when you get a test, you get a bunch of questions and you have to answer them on your own, probably for a grade or a mark or a score of some kind. Students love them, teachers hate them. No, students hate them, teachers love them. They're tests. For example, almost everyone in the class passed the English test. Almost everyone in the class passed the English test.
Now, this news of a test, this is Roxy and Shia, they've been away. It's felt like weeks. It feels like a long time. They've completely lost track of where they are in the real world, in the real time.
They probably want to go back to the dinosaurs now.
I think so. So Roxy says, I forgot all about our test. I mean, of course, with the dinosaurs and the Wright brothers, she had a lot more things to think about.
Absolutely. And I bet they didn't take their books when they went time traveling. And Mom, she says, you both have to take your big history test tomorrow. Wait a history test?
That's right.
They've just been traveling in history, so that shouldn't be too bad.
Well, as we can see in the article, Roxy and Shia look at each other and smile. Like, oh, history test. Now, here we use this short phrase, each other, okay? And this is when two people do something with each other, usually at the same time, okay? They could talk to each other. They could work with each other, okay? Now, if that's what we use when there are two people. If there are three or more people and they're all doing something together or all exchanging things, we often use the phrase one another instead. So two students helped each other. All the students helped one another. So that's how that normally works. So they've looked at each other, so that's like this, and smiled. Now,
smile at each other?
Yeah, what happens next?
That's right, and Roxy wants to make sure she heard correctly, so she says, a history test? Of course, she's happy about that because they've been traveling in history. And Shia says, don't worry, Mom, we're going to get really good grades. They're quite confident with all of their personal experience in history that a history test won't be tough. They just met the Wright brothers and saw dinosaurs. Yeah,
it shouldn't be the hardest test they will ever have to take. Now there, Shia used we're going to, okay, so that's part of the be going to kind of grammar. That is our magic box today. We're going to have a look at that right now, and I believe when we come back, we're going to be doing our wrap up for today.